Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Educational Numismatist. With silver topping $38 an ounce, I've run into something in the last couple of auctions that I have run on Whatnot where people are on a budget. Times are tough. The economy is not what it once was. And I'm getting asked, well, I don't have the budget to buy, multiple ounces of silver. I still want to stack. What should I do? Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you for your perseverance and your wherewithal because that is the correct attitude. Stack no matter what. Okay. Even if all you are able to stack is a fractional amount, like 1 gram of silver, or maybe even a fractional round, in this case, a 1/20th of an ounce Mexican Libertad. But honestly, sticking to American coins, U.S. coinage, what some people call junk coins or junk silver. I prefer the term constitutional silver because I think it sounds a little bit better and offers it a little bit more respect. But I don't have any dimes currently, but even the Washington quarters, 90% silver, any U.S. dime, quarter, or half dollar made before 1965 is 90% silver. And I can assure you that, if it comes time to needing to barter for something, you can definitely find somebody who will trade for a pre 1965 90% quarter. Similarly, you can use a 90% half dollar. In this case, a 1943 Walking Liberty half dollar. Now, these coins trade for very little, if any, over the premium or over the price of spot silver. You're paying very little premium for these, okay? Which obviously makes them attractive. But even more so, you're looking at probably $7 to $9 for a silver quarter. You're looking at probably $13 to $15 for a silver half dollar, with silver at 38.40 an ounce, which is what it is as the day I'm making this video. So, for 15 bucks, you can get in on, a fair amount of silver. There is 0.361 of an ounce of silver in a 90% silver half dollar. There is 0.08101, or I think it is, or something like that, in a 90% quarter. Okay, so yes, it may not look significant, but here's the thing. Even if you have a budget of just $20 a month or $20 a week, even, you can pick up a couple of these, or you can pick up one of these. And I can assure you that over time, as they begin to accumulate, you will feel a little bit more secure. You will have a growing nest egg. Heaven forbid something happens, you will have the ability to trade for necessary goods and services, which is why silver is a good idea. Now, obviously, when you're able to, you can move up to the 1 ounce rounds or the 1 ounce bars where, obviously you're going to pay whatever the price of silver is, plus a premium for these coins. These do not come cheaply. These are beautifully made, and as a result, they take a premium when you want to buy them. So right now, you're probably looking at $42 to $45 an ounce for each one of these. Now, that is a fairly substantial premium, but again, you are getting a well-known generic ounce of silver on, a relative budget. If you have to skip a week and you take your $40 budget and you buy one of those, okay, fine. So let's also talk about what could also be considered constitutional silver, or is frankly constitutional silver, but is a little bit better. So when you're looking at, a couple of grams of silver, or you're looking at a silver quarter, you're looking at fractions of an ounce, okay? And really, all you are looking at is the value of the silver, or what is referred to as the intrinsic value. That is what you are really buying when you buy what is called junk silver. There is a very small numismatic value. In other words, coin collectors do appreciate walking half dollars. They do want to make their collections complete, so somebody might need a 43 Philadelphia walking Liberty half dollar. So there would be a little bit of an extra demand or price value above the metal. So you start with the intrinsic value, and like I say, that's anywhere between $14 and $15 on each one of these. And then you add in a little bit of numismatic value. So depending on the date, mint mark, and the condition, you might be looking at 16, 17, or even $20. But there isn't a whole lot of numismatic value. Nobody is buying a 1964, well, all right, or even a 1961 circulated Washington quarter for its investment value, other than for the metal content. Okay, a 61 Washington quarter is not rare, certainly not in circulated condition. This is not a valuable coin other than for its silver content. Okay, so that is the difference between the intrinsic value and the numismatic value. And you need to be able to distinguish that when you are buying coins. For example, a Barber half dollar. Okay, these were minted before the Walking Liberty half dollars I was just showing you. Now, these are considered much more scarce because these were minted in much smaller quantities than the Walking Liberties or the Franklins or the Kennedy half dollars that came afterwards. And because of that, in addition, there are certain dates and mint mark combinations on this coin that make them much more sought after. And depending on the condition and the mint mark, these have a significant value over the value of just pure silver. So if you're looking at a Barber half dollar, you have to do two things. You understand that it has the same amount of silver as a Walking Liberty half dollar. So on the surface, you're looking at, $14 to $16. However, that's just the intrinsic value. Now you would have to go look in a price guide and see what a 1907 Philadelphia Barber half dollar in, probably good 4 condition is, or maybe good 6 condition is worth. And I can assure you that it's worth more than the $14 to $16 worth of silver. This is probably a 35, 40, maybe even a $50 coin on the PCGS guide if it were graded. But again, now you are talking about collector value, numismatic value, and that is in addition to the intrinsic value, the metal, the value of the metal that the coin is made of. So let me close by just saying that what you can do is start very small. You can start a gram at a time. These will go for under $5. Okay. The 1/20th of an ounce Mexican Libertads, these will go for less than $10 each. Okay. And they do add up. If you get 20 of these over time, you're looking at an ounce of silver. Constitutional silver. By the time you have accumulated $1.40 in face value, you have 1.01 ounces of silver. So again, you may not be able to buy a lot of these at a time, but if you can buy one of these every week for $15, let's say, okay, what are you looking at? $60 a month? At the end of the month, you got a couple ounces worth of silver. Now, over time, that does begin to add up. So if you are interested in stacking, even on a budget, I will definitely implore you to just continue stacking, even if it's micro steps at a time. Like my mother always used to tell me, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one step at a time, one bite at a time. Okay. And that's exactly how you need to approach your stacking, because you don't have to buy 100 ounces of silver at a time. You can buy micro, small doses that over time will add up. And as you get a little bit more sophisticated, that's when you move up to things like a Barber half dollar or, something a little bit more valuable from a coin collector standpoint, in addition to the silver. Because what does that do for you? It doubles your potential return. Obviously, if the price of silver shoots up, you're doing well. But on top of that, if the value of your coin goes up from a numismatic standpoint, you're benefiting from that as well. So, if you have the budget for it, you can pay a little extra for something like that. I encourage you to do it. But otherwise, like I say, even if it's nothing more than a US dime or a quarter or a half dollar or a fractional silver bar, do what you are able to and just keep doing it. So that's the encouraging word for the day. If you have found this video helpful, please do me a solid, subscribe, like it, hit that notification bell so that you get notified every time I put out a new video. I appreciate your support, and I look forward to seeing you again the next time around. Thank you all for watching.